My name is Natalie. I am 26 years old. I grew up in a small town in the north of England. People here know each other. Life is simple. I always believed my life was simple too, but I was wrong. I lived with my mum, Elaine. She worked in a school kitchen. She came home tired but happy. She always cooked dinner, asked about my day, and watched TV with me. I thought we were just like other families. I never knew my father. Mum told me he died when I was a baby. She said, "He was kind, but he's gone now." I didn't ask much. I believed her. I trusted her. Why would I not? As a child, I sometimes felt different. My hair was lighter than Mum's. My skin was not the same tone. But people said, "You look like your mum in the eyes." I smiled. I liked that. At school, I was quiet. I had one close friend named Beth. She always made me laugh. We ate lunch together, played in the field, and stayed friends for years. She knew my mum too. She said, "Your mum is funny and kind." I always felt proud when she said that. After school, I didn't go to college. I started working at a care home. I cleaned rooms, made tea, helped the older people. It was hard work, but I liked it. They told stories. Some were sweet, some were sad. Mum was proud of me. She said, "You work hard." That's good. Every weekend, we watched movies together. We ate crisps and laughed. I thought we were close. I thought we had no secrets. But last year, something changed. It started on a Sunday afternoon. I was cleaning the hallway when the doorbell rang. Mum was upstairs. I opened the door. A woman stood there. She had short brown hair and wore a green coat. She looked at me closely, almost too long. "Hello," she said. "Is Elaine here?" I said, "She's upstairs. Can I help you?" She smiled, but her eyes were strange. "No, thank you. I'll come back later," she said. Then she turned and walked away. I told Mum about the woman. She froze. Her face went pale. "What did she look like?" she asked. I told her. She said, "Probably someone from work." Then she changed the subject. But her voice sounded wrong. That night she didn't eat much. She went to bed early. I felt something was not right, but I didn't ask again. A few weeks passed. One evening, I came home early from work. I heard voices in the kitchen. I stopped at the door. Mum was on the phone. Her voice was low. "She saw me," she said. "I think she knows." I didn't move. I waited. Then she said, "I'll talk to her soon." "But not yet." I felt cold. Was she talking about me? The next day I asked her, "Mum, who were you talking to last night?" She looked surprised. "Just a friend," she said. "Why?" I didn't believe her, but I said nothing. I smiled and walked away. Inside, I was full of questions. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I kept asking myself, what is she hiding? I started watching her more closely. She was quiet. She avoided long talks. When I asked about my dad again, she just said, Some things are better left alone. But I didn't agree. One afternoon, I came home and found her in the living room. She looked tired. I sat next to her and said, "Mom, please tell me the truth. Is there something I should know?" She looked at me for a long time. Then she looked away. "You were always a smart girl," she said softly. "Maybe it's time." My heart beat faster. "What do you mean?" I asked. She took a deep breath. "Your father didn't die." I stared at her. "What?" "He's alive," she said. I lied. I didn't understand. "Why?" Her eyes filled with tears. "I wanted to protect you. I thought it was best." I stood up. I couldn't believe it. For 20 years, she told me my father was gone. But he wasn't. He was alive all this time. I said, "Who is he? Where is he now?" She didn't answer right away. She looked at her hands. Then she whispered, "His name is Peter. He lives in another city. He left when you were a baby." "Why did he leave?" I asked. She shook her head. "We were young. He was scared. He didn't want a child." Her voice broke. "I didn't want you to feel unwanted." I felt dizzy. I sat down again. "So you lied." "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't know how to tell you." Then years passed, and it got harder. I didn't know what to say. I felt angry, sad, confused. All at once. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to understand. "You let me believe he was dead," I said. She nodded. "I know. I'm so sorry." I left the room. I went to my bedroom and closed the door. I sat on my bed, trying to think, but my mind was full. My whole life, I believed one thing, and now everything was different. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept seeing Mom's face, hearing her words. I kept thinking about the woman in the green coat. Was that her? Was that someone from his side? The next morning, I didn't say much. Mom made tea, but we didn't talk. The silence felt heavy. After work, I walked alone in the park. I thought about calling Beth, but I didn't know how to explain. How do you tell someone your whole life was a lie? When I got home, Mom was waiting. "Do you want to know more?" she asked. I nodded. She said, "He's married now. He has other children, but he knows about you." I felt a sharp pain. "He knows? And he never came?" She looked sad. "He thought it was better. He sent money sometimes, but I never told you." I stood up again. I couldn't stay still. "He didn't want me, and you hid him from me." Mom tried to touch my arm, but I stepped back. "I don't know who I am anymore," I said. She said, "You're still my daughter. You're still Natalie." But I wasn't sure what that meant anymore. Before I continue my story, I want to ask you something. Where are you listening from? Sometimes I wonder if someone out there really understands me. Just knowing you're here gives me strength. That night, I couldn't rest. I turned from side to side in bed. My heart felt heavy, and my head was full of thoughts. The man I never knew was still alive. He had a family. and he never came for me. In the morning, Mom knocked on my door. "Do you want breakfast?" she asked. I said, "No, thank you." My voice was quiet. I got ready and went to work, but I couldn't focus. I forgot a lady's tea. I dropped a small plate. My manager asked, "Are you all right?" I smiled and said, "Just tired." But I was more than tired. I felt lost. After work, I walked home slowly. The sky was gray. The air was cold. I didn't care. I didn't feel anything. Mom was waiting at the table. "Can we talk?" I didn't want to talk, but I sat down. She looked tired too. Her eyes were red. "I want to fix this," she said. "I want to be honest now." I stayed quiet. I waited. She said, "Peter met someone else a few months after you were born. He moved away. I never saw him again. But he sent money every few months." "Why didn't he want to see me?" I asked. She looked down. "I don't know. I think he felt ashamed." I felt tears in my eyes. "I waited for years to hear about him. You told me he was gone. But he was just away?" She nodded. "Did he ever ask about me?" "Once or twice," she said. "But I told him not to come. I told him we were fine." I stood up. "That wasn't your choice. I should have known." "I thought I was doing the right thing," she said. "I was scared. I didn't want him to hurt you." I shook my head. "He hurt me anyway. So did you." She covered her face with her hands. "I'm sorry. I really am." I didn't speak. I went to my room and closed the door. I sat on the floor and cried. For the first time in years, I felt like I had no one. Not even her. For the next few days, I didn't speak much. I went to work, came home, and stayed in my room. Mom gave me space. She didn't try to push me, but the silence between us was thick. One evening, she knocked on my door again. "There's something I want to give you," she said. I opened the door. She handed me a photo. It was old. The corners were soft. A man stood in front of a car. He had brown hair, kind eyes, and a small smile. "That's him," she said. I stared at the photo. "I don't know him." "He looks a bit like you," she said. I didn't reply. "There's more," she said. "His sister lives nearby. Her name is Brenda." She was the woman at the door. I looked up. "She came to see me?" "She wanted to meet you," Mom said. But I told her to wait. I didn't know how to feel. Angry? Curious? All of them at once. "Do you want to meet her?" Mom asked. I thought for a long time. Then I said, "Yes. I need to know more." The next Sunday, I met Brenda at a small cafe in town. She wore the same green coat. She smiled when she saw me. "Natalie," she said. "You look just like him." I sat down. I didn't smile. "I'm sorry I came without warning," she said. "I just wanted to see you." "Why now?" I asked. "He told me about you last year," she said. "He said he had a daughter." I was shocked. "He never came," I said. "Not once." She nodded. "I know. He was scared. He made mistakes. Big ones. Does his family know about me?" She looked away. "No. Not yet." I felt my hands shake. "So, I'm still a secret?" "No," she said. "Not to me. That's why I came." We sat in silence for a moment, then she took something from her bag. "This is from him," she said. It was a small keychain, a silver star. "He used to carry this when he was younger. He wanted you to have it." I held it in my hand. It felt cold. "Where is he now?" I asked. "Bristol," she said. "He works in a car shop. He has a wife and 2 kids. Does he want to meet me?" She hesitated. "He said only if you want to." I looked at the star again. Then I looked at her. "I don't know what I want." "That's okay," she said. "Take your time." When I got home, Mom was sitting on the sofa. She looked at me but didn't speak. "I met her," I said. She nodded. "I might meet him too. One day." "That's your choice," she said. I sat next to her. We didn't talk much, but it felt less cold than before. Weeks passed. I didn't call him, but I kept the keychain in my bag. Sometimes I looked at it before bed. I tried to picture his voice. I couldn't. One day, Beth came to visit. I told her everything. She held my hand. "You're brave," she said. "I don't feel brave," I said. "You are," she smiled. "You're facing the truth." I cried again. But this time, it didn't hurt as much. Beth stayed with me that evening. We watched a movie and ate chips. It felt normal again. Later, I looked at the photo of Peter. I still didn't know him. But he was real. He was alive. And maybe one day I could talk to him. Mom was trying too. She cooked my favorite meal one evening. She even laughed at something I said. For the first time in weeks, I laughed too. I didn't forget the lie. But I started to see her pain too. She was young. She was alone. She didn't know what to do. Maybe I could understand that. One Saturday morning, I picked up my phone. I looked at the number Brenda gave me. I stared at it for a long time. Then I put the phone down. Not yet. But maybe soon. 3 weeks passed, and I still couldn't decide. Each night, I looked at the phone number Brenda gave me. I held my phone many times, but I always put it back down. My mind was full of questions, and my heart felt heavy. I wanted answers, but I was also afraid of what I might feel if I heard his voice. I tried to stay busy. I went to work. I walked to the shops. I cleaned the house. But even when I was doing something, my thoughts stayed on him. The man I had never met. The man who was my father. I had imagined him so many times when I was younger, but now I knew he was real. And that made it harder. Mom gave me space. She didn't push me to talk. She looked tired too. Sometimes I saw her watching me from the kitchen, but she didn't say much. I knew she felt guilty. And even though I was still hurt, I also saw the sadness in her face. She had lived with this secret for years. I couldn't change the past, but maybe I could change what came next. One cold morning, I left the house early and walked to the park. I sat on a wooden bench under a tree and looked at the sky. The air was fresh, and a few birds flew above. It felt quiet, calm. I took out my phone again. My hand was shaking, but I didn't stop this time. I typed the number and pressed call. His voice was deep and quiet. He said hello, and I said my name. For a moment there was silence. Then he said he knew who I was. My chest felt tight. We didn't speak for long. I asked him why he never came back. He said he was scared. He said he didn't think he was ready to be a father. Then the years passed, and it felt too late. I didn't know how to answer that. I thanked him for picking up the call, and then I ended it. I sat on the bench for a long time after that. That evening, I told Mom I had called him. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said she was proud of me. I didn't reply. But deep inside, I felt something shift. The anger in me was still there, but it wasn't as strong as before. In the weeks that followed, I spoke to him again. Slowly, little by little, I learned about his life. He worked in a car shop. He had a wife and 2 children. He lived in a small house in another town. He said he often thought about me. He didn't ask me to forgive him. He only said he was sorry. He seemed unsure, like he didn't know what to say, but I listened. I wanted to understand, even if it hurt. Then one day, he asked if I wanted to meet. I didn't answer him right away. I needed more time. But a few days later, I called back and said yes. We agreed to meet in a small cafe between our towns. I didn't tell Mom at first. I wanted to do this on my own. When I walked into the cafe, he was already there. He stood when he saw me. His hair was darker than mine. His eyes were soft. He looked nervous, just like I felt. We sat and talked about small things. The tea, the weather, our work. I noticed he looked at me often. I could feel him studying my face, like he was trying to see something familiar. Maybe he did. Maybe I looked like someone from his past. We didn't speak about the big things that day. It was too soon. But the silence between us wasn't cold. It felt like 2 people learning how to be in the same room after a long time apart. When I left the cafe, I didn't cry. I didn't smile either. I just walked home quietly. But inside, something was changing. I told Mom later that evening. She listened, then asked how it felt. I said I didn't know. It was strange, but it didn't feel wrong. She looked relieved. For the first time in many weeks, she seemed lighter. Peter and I met again a few times. We walked in parks, talked over coffee, and shared pieces of our lives. He told me about his children. He said they didn't know about me yet. I said that was okay. I wasn't ready to meet them either. I didn't want too much at once. Back at home, life started to feel normal again. Mom and I began speaking more. She cooked my favorite food one evening, and we watched an old movie together. I laughed at a silly scene, and she laughed too. For a moment, we were just us again. But something had changed in me. I felt stronger. I knew more about who I was, not because of him, but because I chose to find out. I didn't stay quiet. I asked questions. I listened. I faced the truth. One weekend, Peter told his children about me. He called to say they were surprised, but they didn't get angry. They wanted to know more. He asked if I wanted to meet them one day. I said maybe. I wasn't ready yet, but I was not afraid anymore. Mom asked me one evening if I forgave her. I looked at her and said, I don't know if I can